So, sounds like Hollywood or Netflix has reached into the old 80s barrel and pulled out another entity of my childhood for a remake. So, the word has come around that they've announced that She-Ra, Princess of Power, or actually Princesses of Power, is coming to Netflix sometime this year. And what's even more interesting is that they're going to do away with the He Man universe, which is kind of strange because She-Ra is the sister of He Man. Now, this reminds me of the days where I was a young man in elementary school where I'd come home from school, I'd watch He Man, I was incredibly excited. And then a couple years later, they introduced She-Ra, which was even more interesting because for the first couple of months I kept calling her She-Man. I'm sorry, folks, that's just how it was. Anyway, so She-Ra and her horse and Hordak and all of her, minions over there would, solve crimes on, what was it, Etheria, where He-Man was on Eternia. It was basically a girl version of He-Man. But I enjoyed it anyway. It was incredibly fun. I come home from school, I watch He-Man, and then She-Ra, Transformers, G.I. Joe. Life was good. And so I'm kind of interested in this iteration since there's not going to be any He-Man at this time, and we're having Princesses of Power, how they're going to do this. And Netflix has kind of hit the well here on the 80s television a couple of times here. Earlier, a few years ago, they hit Voltron, and this is all being done with DreamWorks Animation. The folks that brought us, Shrek and Kung Fu Panda and all that. So my son likes the newer Voltron. I think it's kind of okay. It gets a little bit too silly for my taste, but anyway, it's a serviceable show, and so I'm kind of interested in seeing how they're gonna work this thing out with Shiro. And is it going to be very action oriented? Is it going to be very girl powerish? And that's perfectly fine with me, just as long as they're not trying to do a bunch of man hate. I don't want it to be all girl right and all guy wrong. I think that's very unfair. One of the good things about 80s cartoons were we had an equal share of good and evil with both sexes. You had He-Man and She-Ra on the good side, you had Tila, good. You had Man at Arms, good. And on the bad, you had Skeletor, Evil Lyn. I mean, that's how it works. You had it kind of tells you that bad and good and evil, has no boundaries. And I'm just hoping that in today's PR SJW world, we're not trying to create more boundaries here. So I'm sort of excited with She-Ra coming out, and possibly I will do some reviews when it comes out to Netflix. So we'll see. But I wanted to get your thoughts on She-Ra coming out. Do you think this is interesting, or do you think the world is going retro too often? Do you think they should just come out with something new instead of hitting the 80s well and pulling stuff out? I mean, we have cartoons from the 90s coming out with Hulu hitting with Animaniacs. Uh, and, it's going to be interesting. Tell me your thoughts. Post it in the comments below. If you like this particular rant and raving on She-Ra, hit that like button. If you want to hear more of my rantings and ravings when it comes to TV, movies, video games, whatever comes to mind, you can always hit that subscribe button. I post something just about every day on whatever comes to mind or whatever I come across on the whole interweb there. Anyway, that's it for me for now, and until next time, peace out.